Good morning, sir.
Yeah, morning.
Sir, am I
Vinayak.
clearly audible? I just wanted to confirm that beforehand.
So, sorry, say it again.
Sir, am I clearly audible right now? There isn't any echo or anything, right?
I think it's more or less okay. Maybe there's a little bit of echo. Sharmaji, is it clear to you?
Yeah, it's clear, sir.
Okay. Now, which is the name by which you like to be known? Because
Sir,
there are three parts of your.
yes, sir. Vinayak is my first name, sir.
Okay, and what is the significance of Narwade and Karbhari?
Sir, Karbhari is my father's name, and Narwade is my surname, sir. So family name.
Okay. And what is the meaning of this word Karbhari?
Yes. So, in the medieval times, in the administration of Shivaji Maharaj, Karbhari meant an administrator. Even in the current times in rural areas, Karbhari is known to be an administrator.
Okay. Karbhari. Okay. Now, what is the confusion created by US in Afghanistan? How do you look at it? I think everyone is blaming Biden, even his own partymen, his own countrymen, and everywhere else. Why did he do what he did?
So the confusion created was the hasty withdrawal from Afghanistan. And Biden did it mainly because there was a popular opinion among the Americans, and there was a backlash with respect to the loss of American lives in Afghanistan.
Okay. But then now, has it really paid out, according to what US wanted? Because the kind of repercussions which it is going to have in the region, and I think, isn't it that they have created a lot of instability in the region?
Yes, sir. The withdrawal was in a hasty manner. There should have been conditions put upon Taliban to engage in a discussion for sharing of power. But the Biden administration took a hasty step with respect to the withdrawal process. So that is why there is a confusion in the world community with respect to the stability in the region.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think should be India's stand? Isn't India, is still undecided as to what to do, how to do? If you were the foreign secretary, then what will you advise the prime minister? Tell me three things which you will advise the prime minister, to deal with the current Afghan situation.
Sir, firstly, right now we are the chairperson of the UN Security Council. So I will advise the Prime Minister to ensure that there is discussion within the Security Council over two things, over curbing of violence in Afghanistan, and secondly, with respect to provision of UN peacekeeping forces in Afghanistan. Secondly, sir, I would advise the Prime Minister that we should not be in haste to recognize Taliban, but at the same time, we should also not be the last country to recognize Taliban. And thirdly, sir, I would advise him that there needs to be formal communication with the Taliban since it has already occupied the power, so that we can restart our embassies in Afghanistan as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. But do you think by doing this, the way the US Biden did it, he ceded a lot of political strategic space to his adversaries, you see, which is China and Russia, if I may mention too, not Pakistan in this context.
Yes, sir. He did that. That is what I think of it, because Russia has continued operating its embassy in Afghanistan with contacts with Taliban. China is also having an increasingly friendly attitude towards Taliban. So with respect to that, US did concede that space to its adversaries.
So maybe US is now regretting. Is Biden regretting? He says, I'm still squarely behind this decision.
So from his press conferences, which are recently conducted, he's firm on his decision. And he continuously mentions the fact that US was not in Afghanistan for nation building. Rather, they were against a war against terrorism. And according to him, with the curbing of Al-Qaeda, that war has ended.
But then 20 years they were there, isn't it? I thought all this while in 20 years they were also talking of nation building.
Yes, sir. They were talking about nation building. They did invest a lot of hard power, and there were other partners of US like India who were using their soft power for nation building. But since the last two administration, the stand has increasingly been about not nation building and transfer of power as quickly as possible.
Now you have been to USA, isn't it? How many years were you in the States?
Sir, I was in the US for 3 years.
Okay. And so, but what compelled you to come back? I suppose you were in a very good job.
So can you please repeat the question? I was not able to hear it.
I just said, what compelled you to come back, you see, leaving a very good job, very remunerative job, you see?
So when I was working at the National Renewable Energy Lab, I was working in close coordination with the US Department of Energy as well as India's Ministry of Power. And at that time, I realized that being on the other side of the picture, wherein a civil servant actually has to implement the research which is conducted by the scientists on a ground level, and he is in a better position to have a social impact with that sort of a research. So that was something that compelled me to pursue civil services.
Okay. Now, why is it that, in your hobbies, you have written only about English TV series? Why not Hindi TV series? Or you come from, of course, you come from Maharashtra, isn't it?
Yes,
So
sir.
Maharashtra, it is all Hindi, you see. So why have you abandoned all TV series other than English, you see?
Sir, the primary reason is the Hindi and Marathi TV series. They run for longer durations of time, and they are aired around 4 to 5 times in a week. And so the second reason is there is lack of diversity in Hindi and Marathi TV series. But with the rise of OTT media, I have started watching Hindi TV series. Most recently, I have watched Panchayat and The Family Man.
But do you really find, apart from Panchayat and what you mentioned, you must have seen some other, series, etc., also on OTT. Do you think OTT is, I know that it has come up and all that, but do you think it is desirable? Because the kind of content which I get to see, makes me totally, unnerved about what is being served in my drawing rooms, you see.
Sir, OTT has led to democratization of content. So there will be vast diversity of content available. But at the same time, we need to ensure that obnoxious content with respect to soft pornography or extreme violence needs to be regulated in a certain manner. And that's why we are trying in that sense to restrict the content to certain age groups and having parental controls with respect to OTT.
Okay. Now tell me, let us shift a bit, you see, what do we mean by development and how do we distinguish it from sustainable development?
Sir, development is a combination of growth as well as qualitative growth. So it means having some sort of a measurement about the activities for which development is carried out, and ensuring that it is also increasing the standard of living of the persons or the stakeholders associated with that development. And so sustainable development is development that not only meets the needs of the present generation, but at the same time allows the future generation to meet their own needs. So any sort of development that is hampering the ability of future generations to ensure their developmental needs is not sustainable. That is, it will die down sometime in the near future.
And tell me something about the international global framework on sustainable development, and how does it connect to the resilience building in terms of disasters and also climate change impacts?
Sir, the UN has come up with, first of all, sustainable development goals, which are targeted to be achieved in 2030. Prior to that, we had the Millennium Development Goals, some of which were achieved in 2015, and the others have been continued with respect to the SDGs. Sir, the Sustainable Development Goals, they are in sync with respect to the climate change negotiations, with respect to the Montreal Protocols, among other things. And achieving these sustainable developmental goals will help inclusive development. And the developed countries are also trying to give their sort of assistance in terms of funding or in terms of technology transfer. At least that has been what has been agreed in these documents.
Okay, and how does it, link to disaster management?
Yes, sir. Sir, with respect to disaster management, sustainable development goals ensure that the capability of the population or the stakeholders is increased to ensure them against the disasters. So that is one thing. Secondly, there are also improvements with respect to the health sector and to prevent the occurrence of the disasters. And thirdly, sir, India is taking a lead in terms of international organizations like Coalition of Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. This is also part of the Sustainable Development Goals, and having such sort of an infrastructure will help the stakeholders to insure them against the disasters.
Okay, Vinayak, you must have heard of FEMA.
Yes, sir.
FEMA. So tell me, what is FEMA? And something about their work. Do they really rise to the occasion? Because at times I have read some discussions in the US Congress where they used to, it is on record of members saying that arrival of FEMA on a disaster site is another disaster. This is also one of the discussions, maybe sometime back, not very recent. So tell me about FEMA, its work, and is there any similarity with the practice we have in our country?
Sir, actually, in the first instant, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about FEMA or Foreign Exchange Management Act. But can you please clear my doubt with respect to
I'm talking of FEMA, which is the agency in USA which responds to disaster situations.
Okay, sir, I have not heard about that, but can I take a guess?
Have you heard of Federal Emergency Management Agency? Because in US, that is the agency which responds to every disaster you see.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you for the elaboration on FEMA. Sir, with respect to the concerns that FEMA is seen to exaggerate disasters, is first of all the costs which the stakeholders have to incur with respect to calling those sort of emergency services. Secondly, sir, it is also said that since FEMA comes in, there is a lot of concerns with respect to having different types of investigations to try to find out what was the reason, and this inadvertently increases the cost associated with that disaster. So that is my knowledge.
But is there any similarity with the practices in our country with FEMA?
Yes, sir. We do have the National Disaster Management Authority, as well as the NDRF, or the National Disaster Resilience Force. But sir, we are more of a
Response
bottom.
force.
Yes, the
No,
response.
not resume, but response force. Okay,
Thank
okay, Vinayak, thank you. Over
Thank
to
you.
Sharma ji. Okay.
Mr. Vinayak,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you, sir.
So, Mr. Vinayak, 97th Amendment in the Constitution, part of this amendment has been struck down by Honorable Supreme Court. What exactly this 97th Amendment in the Constitution related with what? And number two, why part of this has been struck down by Honorable Supreme Court?
So the 97th constitutional amendment was related to cooperative societies, and it had added Part 9B to the Constitution so as to ensure democratic functioning as well as professional management of these cooperative societies. Recently, it was struck down by the Gujarat High Court, and the same thing was upheld by the Supreme Court because cooperatives, especially single state cooperatives, they are under the state list. And when this 97th constitutional amendment was passed, the parliament did not consider ratification by half the number of states. And
Where
that
is the, yeah, 127th Amendment Bill, what it is related with, and what is the present position?
Yes, sir. Sir, the 127th constitutional bill is related to giving the governor of the states the powers with respect to notification of backward classes. So in the 102nd Constitutional Act, these powers were transferred to the president, but now it tries to undo that mistake. The present situation is that the bill has been passed by both the houses of the parliament, and it is awaiting assent of the president.
So if president gives assent, then it will be which constitutional amendment act? Which constitutional amendment?
So it will be the 105th constitutional amendment.
105th, that's right. Okay. So our Honorable Prime Minister chaired a meeting related with Afghan issue, Taliban issue on 16th of August. In what capacity he chaired that meet?
Sir, if I may take a guess, since India is the the president of UN Security Council, it was in that sense that he chaired that meeting.
So this month he is
the president of UN Security Council.
Yeah, United Nations Security Council. This is number one, and one more ground on the basis of which he chaired that meet. What is that? This is one, that he chaired that meet on 16th of August, as you have just said, and in one more capacity, in another capacity.
So can I take a guess?
Yeah.
Sir, India has a strategic agreement with respect to Afghanistan, which it signed in 2011. And I feel that it was on that basis that he chaired this meeting.
So he is heading United Nations Committee on Taliban Sanctions.
Thank you,
so
sir.
in two capacities, he headed that meeting.
Thank you, sir.
So what was the outcome? 16th August outcome.
Sir, the council has decided that it first needs to focus on curbing the violence, and that it will not immediately recognize Taliban unless and until it is curbing that sort of violence.
Another thing? Yeah, you are right. What else?
I'm not aware, sir. I'll look into it.
Okay. Vinayak. Vinayak means?
So Vinayak is the name of Lord Ganesha.
Okay. There is a shlok, or we can say verse from Atharvaved chapter 14. I translate that into English. You will tell me what exactly that means.
Yes, sir.
Atharvaved chapter 14. The verse is in English, if I translate, O Mother Earth, whatever I dig and collect from you, let it revive and flourish. Let me not pierce thy hurt, thy wound. O Mother Earth, whatever I dig and collect from you, let it revive and flourish. Let me not pierce thy hurt, thy wound. What exactly that mean? Nowadays we call it what?
So it is basically called sustainable development. So
yeah. Sustainable management of natural resources. So
Yes,
people were aware at that time also about 5,000 years ago about the
Yes.
sustainable development.
Yes,
So
sir.
how many goals are there?
Sorry, sir.
How many goals are there? Sustainable development goals?
So there are 17 sustainable development goals.
17. Which one are related with environment? Out of 17, how many of these are related with environment?
So inadvertently, all of them are related, but
Anyway,
the sustainable
particularly, specifically related with environment,
specifically
there are
this
3.
13, 14, and 15, sir.
Yeah, 13, 14, 15. What exactly these are? You are right. 13, 14, 15. Yeah.
Sir, SDG 13 is with respect to conservation of the atmosphere. 14 is with respect to water, and 15 is with respect to conservation of land.
What is e-rupee? E-rupee.
Sir, e-rupee is a new scheme launched by the central government, which deals with person-specific and program-specific provision of transfers. So this will be kind of a coupon-based system, which won't utilize any sort of application, but it will be based. It will be similar to the UPI.
What is this national hydrogen policy?
Sir, the national hydrogen policy was it promotes basically production of green hydrogen on a large scale, and it wants to make India one of the pioneers with respect to production of green hydrogen.
Are greenhouse gases necessary?
Sir, the GHGs are necessary to a certain extent, but with their over concentrations, they can cause global warming. So they are necessary in the sense that they ensure that the earth is heated up and it is favorable for all the living beings on earth.
Okay, what is this? Yours is mechanical engineering, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Mechanical engineering. What do you mean by EMU and DMU? Trains. These are trains, EMU and DMU. And one of the DMU trains is going to be transformed into hydrogen train.
Yes, sir.
Where from? That will be on a pilot basis.
Okay, sir. Sir, I guess EMU is electrical motor unit and DMU is...
No, not motor. Electric multiple units. And similarly, diesel multiple units.
Yes, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Can you name the DMU which is going to be transformed into hydrogen train?
I'm not aware, sir. I will look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Vinayak, I think you had appeared for the interview some days back also, isn't it?
Yes, sir. On 14th of August.
Okay. Now, how will you rate this interview? Out of 100, how many marks?
Sir, I would rate it better than the last one because I think I was engaging in a conversation rather than telling what I knew. And sir, I would rate it somewhere like last time I had rated mine of 60 and you had rated it 65. So I would rate myself this time around to be 65.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I think I would say you've done well, very well. You have made improvements. You appear to be very, very strong candidate, I would say. I would easily give you 65 to 70, somewhere between that. Maybe even 68 or something like that. When is your interview scheduled?
The 16th of September, sir.
Oh, you got 1 month time, you see.
Yes.
So that is good. So any point on which you want any particular advice, see?
Sir, I just wanted to confirm that I was engaging in a conversation and I was not overstating things which I knew.
I think this was better in the sense that you are really trying to get the import of the question. That is very, very important. To really hear the question, try to understand what is behind the question, what is the import of the question, why is the member asking that question, and to give precise answer with the indication that, well, if you know more, many times many candidates simply because they know some answer. So they will go on explaining that even though the member has not asked, you see. So the board can immediately see that, okay, you are sort of taking them for a ride, kind of, because you know it, so you are going beyond the scope of the question, So I think that I noticed that, you see, you are not doing that. You are confining yourself to the question. And of course, there is nothing wrong if the candidate gives an indication that, sir, in case you like, you see, supposing I'm talking of the Afghanistan situation. I say, what is the three advice, which you will recommendation you make to the Prime Minister. So give those three. You may have points to justify those. You may have points, beyond three also, 4, 5, etc. also. There you can always give the indication after replying to the question that, sir, in case you permit, then, sir, I can elaborate on this or something like that. Okay.
Okay,
I
sir.
think that is
Yes.
a better way of presenting yourself rather than going on a, long, discourse on that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
I think the rest, I'm sure. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So two more questions I had. One was again, like I had asked this question last time also. Was I pausing and was I not hastily answering the questions as soon as they were asked?
No, I don't think today it was that hasty. You see, yes, I remember that last time we did make this comment that you were coming, a little too hastily. This was a more measured kind of a response today, so that is okay. And what is the second question?
The second question is with respect to that federal emergency agency which you talked about. So,
see, FEMA, because we keep talking of disasters, a disaster is very important in the current Indian context, and also globally. You see, it is, I mean, today, if you look at floods, it is happening everywhere. It is happening in China, it is happening in Europe, it is happening anywhere else, you see. I mean, this is the real impact of the climate change, which we are seeing in the most unusual kind of way, where you see that kind of thing is happening, isn't it? Now, FEMA is a very important and very, FEMA is the agency in USA. So federal emergency, like NDRF has become a very common word in India, which is a response force. FEMA is not just response. FEMA combines NDRF as well as, I would say, National Disaster Management Authority, as far as I know. I happened to visit FEMA, etc., maybe 20 years back, around 2001 or 2, etc. So FEMA is a very important agency. Before Clinton, FEMA was, doing rather bad. So in that context, there were discussions in the US Congress where their members said that arrival of FEMA is another disaster, not in the context which you said in terms of costs, etc., etc. Not that. You see, because then FEMA was very inefficient. They would rather mess up a situation than take control of this situation. But then it was during the time of Bill Clinton that he gave a lot of importance to FEMA. The chief of FEMA, I'm forgetting the name, then chief of FEMA, was given the cabinet minister's status, which raised his profile. And that guy, then revamped whole FEMA. So FEMA is a very important agency. So for a person who has been in US for 3 years, I thought I can ask that.
okay, sir. I'll look into it. Thank you, sir.
Because you have been there for 3 years, so
yes,
there
sir.
can be a good number of questions, relating to US.
Yes, sir.
US role and all that thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
yes.
good. Sharma ji?
Yeah, Mr. Vinayak, when your interview is to be held?
16th September, sir.
15?
16th September.
15th of September. So enough time. Read well.
Yes. Yes.
Last time also your performance was good, but this time it is little better than that.
Okay,
and with today's performance, I rate you around 70%.
Thank you, sir.
So I think you will do well. Utilize this time as much as you can. And no next chance. This year
yes,
only.
Sir.
Proper.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, just one thing you say, Vinayak, I think this time you have come back a little too soon. On 14th you were there, on 19th you are there now, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I would say that maximum go for, say, 2 more mocks, you see. You have about a month's time, maximum 2 more each.
Okay,
Not
sir.
more than that, because that can at times become confusing. It is much better to, you see, focus on your preparation. And preparation, you see, for a candidate like you, I'd like to say that bear in mind that personality test is not so much about what you are saying, not the content, but how you are saying.
Yes,
I
sir.
suppose I must have emphasized this point then also.
Yes, sir.
So you have to come out with a temperament, display of your temperament, your ability to engage into conversation warmly, enthusiastically, with reasons, with logic, give your opinions with analysis, etc., etc. Your awareness about the current situation in the society, in the country, in the neighborhood, globally. What are the major issues and things like that? You see.
Yes, sir.
I hope you get the point.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Vinayak, related with mechanical engineering, you read those topics mainly which are in public domain.
Okay,
What
sir.
is in public domain? Hybrid vehicles, electric vehicles, hydrogen train,
Yes, sir.
train 18 and all that. We are going to have another 75 train 18 within another 75 weeks.
Yes, sir.
So, all these things which are in public domain, not in depth,
Yes, sir.
that's
Yes.
not required.
Yes,
So,
sir.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
all the
Thank you,
best.
sir.
I'm sure you will make it this time. That is my feeling. You will make it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, you can leave the Zoom meeting.
Yes.